Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding is provided by a grant from Absolute Care of Westfield, committed to returning the favor to those who spent a lifetime caring for others. Absolute Care is located at 26 Cass Street in Westfield. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Join us live Saturday mornings between 9 and 10 a.m. in Fredonia, Mayville, and Silver Creek. Call in and share a thought or wish someone a happy birthday with Chautauqua County's only live on-air senior program. Reed continues in his 15th year with interesting guests expressing their viewpoints and informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day in Chautauqua County. It's even above freezing. Can you believe it? And no snow. I was away for a little while down in the Bahamas where it was 80 degrees. And as we were driving back, guess what? It was snowing in Westfield when I arrived. We love it up here, though. And there's plenty of fun stuff to do. It's just a great place to live, isn't it, guys? And the bulbs are coming up, and the crocuses are all over, and the tulips will be, or the daffodils and tulips will be up all over the place. I love those little daffodils. There's a spot up in the hills on the Westfield Sherman Road, which goes through Volusia, and along the side of the road in Volusia, you'll see 1 million daffodils, and everybody in the county goes over there and picks them. Apparently, that's all right with everybody. And I once asked permission of the farmer. He said, "Well, as far as I'm concerned, take all you want." But what a place to live, guys! We got a great program coming in. As usual, we're getting our monthly report from Fred Croscut, who is the chairman of the county legislature. He's the guy who runs the shop. And I'll tell you something, there's a lot of things popping around here. And not to mention maple syrup. We'll talk a little about that. Now, we got a lot of stuff going on around us. You look at the TV, you can't believe the craziness going on in Liberia, my goodness, or Libya, I guess it is, and the nutsiness. Oh my! The guy is murdering people with planes and troops and storm troops and cannons and tanks. And we set up the United States. Obama said, "Well, we can't just go in there and help these people. They want to set up a no-fly zone, so they can't bring the planes in and strafe them and bomb them." And the no-fly zone would stop that and at least save the lives of probably thousands of people that he's murdering. He's just killing them. And so Obama said, we need some sort of cooperation. Well, the Arab League said, we're for it, let's go. And now if the Arabs go for it, it's all right, you know. He said, well, we need further affirmation, so the United Nations has to say it's okay. Well, the United Nations passed a resolution a couple days ago. Go for it. This is murder. We've got to stop it. Well, we still haven't done anything. And the Gaddafi, he's a snake, I'll tell you. He said, well, we've got a ceasefire going. As he's murdering these people, bombing them and bringing in tanks, as he's speaking, no ceasefire there. And I don't think we're going to do anything for these people. At this rate, it doesn't seem to be much. And then, of course, there's the disaster, the nuclear disaster in Japan. It's not going to be an atomic bomb when these nuclear reactors go. What happens is there's a meltdown. They can't keep the rods of the plutonium and the uranium cool enough so that it doesn't melt. And there's no water in 2 of the reactors, and God knows what's going on in the other ones. Japan is kind of closed-mouthed and ambiguous about what's going on, as are the power people, Petco or whatever it is over there. And so we have what appears to be a nuclear meltdown going on, and what it'll do it doesn't explode, but what it does is release tremendous amounts of radiation in the local area. Local area being up to 50 miles away from the reactor, and guess what? No one can go near it for years. Actually, the half-life of this kind of radiation is 40,000 years. So I have a feeling we're going to have a devastation over there, not to mention the thousands and tens of millions of people who will be irradiated to the point where they'll probably get cancer from it eventually. You know, plutonium, just a microgram of plutonium in your lungs will cause cancer. Very simple. It is extremely carcinogenic. And one of the plants has plutonium, and it's going to be all over the place. And you know, when they were setting off the atomic bombs in the United States, they were testing bombs, they were doing it in the air. And guess what the fuel on those atomic bombs was? Plutonium. And that's still in our system all over the place. No wonder cancer is jumping by leaps and bounds in this country. And all over the world, I might add. We have to review our nuclear policy in terms of the nuclear power plants, because, boy, something goes wrong. It's a disaster with a capital D. All right, and everybody's holding their breath, wondering what's going to happen next, and hoping that at this point the Japanese somehow will be able to control it. They're doing everything possible, bringing in power lines to set up the pumps again to keep the water on these rods. They're dropping bombs of water from helicopters, which they tell us is not very effective and extremely dangerous for the pilots because there's so much radiation going off from these reactors. Oh, well, time passes, and let's hope this Japan gets it back together. The shocking devastation caused by the tsunami, as well as the earthquake, have really devastated the economy and the people of Japan. There are millions of people over there who've lost everything, and there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of them who have nowhere to go. They're living in shelters without any heat. There's a lack of food. There's lack of water. There's a lot of problems over there. Let's hope they do get it together, and the Japanese are extremely resilient, very well organized. I have a feeling they'll probably come through this somehow or the other. Let's hope so. Okay, locally, let Fred tell us about the county, which is our biggest local government. Dunkirk Federated Seniors has a wonderful group, and I just wanted to mention all our communities around here have a lot of senior groups. The towns, the villages, all jurisdictions, even the churches, they have these wonderful senior groups, and if you don't belong to one, join one, huh? Let me read you a couple of items here. I'm just going to pick them out here. Vice President over at Dunkirk Federated is Helen Barone, and she does the job. Nobody's paid, but they all work hard to keep these organizations going and to make it a pleasure and a second home for seniors. I wanted to mention the fact that there will be no meeting on Tuesday, March the 22nd. That's been canceled, so don't drop around anybody over there. Happy birthday to Hallmark. They never give Hallmark's first name. Apparently Hallmark has no first name. Lakeshore Seniors, they meet Wednesdays usually at the Dunkirk Senior Center also. That Senior Center where the Dunkirk Federated Seniors meets is a big old school, wonderful place. It's got everything going. They have dancing, they have cards, they have bingo. Of course they have bingo. Everybody has bingo in seniors. The Lakeshore Seniors, a couple of notes here. President is Charlene Hallmark, who does the job there, and they brought up the question in terms of the Japanese situation of the 10 most important supplies to have on hand in case there is a disaster. Now, I lived on Long Island for a while, and at one point, the truckers held basically an embargo on supplies for a while. They went on strike, and we couldn't get a lot of things. One of the things we couldn't get was milk. The milk people shut it down. Well, we had, as one of the 4 major supplies that we knew of, just for a disaster, we'd stashed away. And one of those supplies is, believe it or not, it's dried milk. Dried powdered milk doesn't deteriorate. The flavor goes, it doesn't taste as good, but it does not deteriorate for a million years. It just stays there where it is as long as it's properly preserved. And everybody had babies at that level of our friends, and they didn't have milk. So guess what? the power supply of powdered milk was decimated, taken away, completely wiped out, and we had to replace it later on when the truckers settled with their employers. I want to say that there are 3 other major things if you want to put in some stuff for a disaster, and you never know what could happen. If you just never know. I'll tell you what we have and what is recommended. It's wheat. Put in some wheat. You can get it in 5-gallon buckets, or that's the way it's usually kept. And you can buy it with nitrogen in it, so it never deteriorates. They found wheat in the tombs of the pharaohs, and they planted it, and it grew. Can you believe that? Yeah, it lasts forever. Death Smith is the driest of the wheats, and so that's what they usually put in these containers. Now, you can do it yourself. Buy a ton of Death Smith and put it in 5-gallon cans, but you've got to get rid of the oxygen in there. And the way you do it is you drop in a small lump of dry ice on the bottom. And what happens is the dry ice becomes carbon dioxide, and have a pinhole in the top of your sealed can, and it'll drive all the oxygen out, and then you have nothing but carbon dioxide, which does not react. It'll preserve it forever and ever. Seal off your pinhole, and you're in business. And there's a little tip. Another thing you want to have is honey. Honey never deteriorates. It'll last forever and ever and ever. You get a big 5-10 gallon jug of honey. You can buy it in large quantities, and just stash it away. And the 4th thing you want to have is salt. Lots of salt. Bags and bags of salt. If there is a disaster, the first thing that happens is your freezer goes, and you'll need that food. You'll need the meat. So what you do is take your bathtub and put in salt. Fill it with salt and drop all your meat in it and leave it there for a while. And then you can take it out after a week or so, 2, and it'll be perfectly preserved forever and ever and ever. It'll be a little dry. You have to resuscitate it. Hey, there you go, guys. Salt, wheat, honey, and, of course, dry powdered milk. And one thing you might want to have with your wheat is a grinder. We had a hand-cranked stone grinder, but it works. It makes flour out of it. And the wheat itself is pretty rough to deal with. But if you can make flour, you can make bread, cakes, you can make anything you want. All right, guys, enough for survival in Chautauqua County. I can't imagine anything that would require the use of the survival stuff. But I do have a lot of salt put away. I never know when the freezer's going to go. United Seniors, a big group up here in Chautauqua County. They are a combination of the leaders from all the other senior groups, and anybody who wants to be a member too, who wants to be in on what's going on in Senior City in terms of legislation in New York State and on the federal government, and they do. They write letters and raise a rumpus. The only thing that I haven't seen any change in is the so-called no COLA for seniors because there's no inflation. What a pile of bunkum! The Congress is again pulling the wool over your eyes and telling you that there is no inflation or there's no money to give you a COLA. They got to save the money for the rich and powerful and give them a big tax break. Give me a break, friends. There is $8 trillion or more in the Social Security Trust Fund. They have not been trustworthy. They took it all. It's all gone. Oh, there's an IOU there. Lots of luck. Anyway, the United Seniors has quite a big bunch of people, incidentally, over there. And the president of it is Charles St. George, well known all over Chautauqua County as a senior leader. And they have an awful lot of things going there. I want to say happy birthday to Virginia Kelly over there, Joe Greco, Russell Turco, and a lot of other people. The next luncheon meeting is going to be on April 11th, and they will have Swiss steak for dinner at the United Seniors. And if you haven't joined it, you might want to get involved. It's a very, very effective group. And they are, I guess, they're the leadership all over the county, and you have a good chance to meet them. Refreshment committee over, let's see, March 23rd is going to be what's happening shortly. Let me check that one out. You know, my dog ate my stuff. Lakeshore Seniors. If you want to join the Lakeshore Seniors, it's a great club, and there you just drop around March 23rd at the Senior Center in Dunkirk, and you'll meet everybody in town. Silver Creek, they have their own wonderful little clubhouse.